to the Face Off podcast. This is episode 3, entitled Sifting Through the Rubble. Still trying to... I feel like we should have found it already. We should have found it and wrapped it up. Should have been done. This should have already been easy enough to figure out. If you don't know, this is the first episode. This is probably a good spot to come in on, or maybe like 2 episodes from now. Face Off, the Face Off podcast is me. I'm Derek Schoonover. We're trying to find the meaning of life wrapped up somewhere in the 1997 action movie Face Off. The idea is that every molecule, every little bit of anything, every atom, every quark, every subatomic particulate has the blueprint for everything else in the universe, and so by extrapolating out from that, we should be able to decipher the meaning of all existence, not just human existence, all existence. Just human is fine with me. Any kind of insight would be great at this point. But all of existence, we're going to find out what's going on, because the answers are in the Face Off, the John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, John Woo joint from 1997. Which, I gotta say, there was a lot of movies that came out that year, that era, maybe like that 5-year block, that I would way rather, I think I could find the meaning of life in 2 or 3 times. No problem. I could have picked any other movie. This is a totally random thing, and it's weird because I'm not locked into it. Technically, I don't have to do it, but I'm going to. I talked about it as like a bet with myself, that no one, it's if you bet with yourself, you have to lose. You don't technically have to win, I don't think. So it's a little bit weird. I'm calling this episode "Sifting Through the Rubble" because last episode I went off on Erewhon Prison a little more than I expected. I'm still not quite ready for the place, with the episode about place. That's going to have to actually be something that I work on a little bit more instead of just riffing, I think. But we got a little deep there with with the prison, which obviously, if you don't know, the premise, we're going to try to find the meaning of the universe in the movie Face Off. So, in order to do that, I'm going to watch Face Off once a week for a year. I'm on my third recent viewing. I'd seen it many times as a teenager. I'm on my third recent viewing, and it is just getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm finding less and less redeeming features of it. I feel like it is sort of starting to peel back. There's sort of questions that are left unanswered that I want the answers to, and through those questions that aren't answered, I think we'll find other questions that could possibly lead us in a good direction. These are all lies. I don't think any of this. I think this is a huge waste of time. Giant waste of my time and your time. So just keep that in mind as we journey on down the yellow brick road here. Okay. Sifting through the rubble, because I have so many notes from the second viewing of Face Off. I looked over these. This is only some of them. It's a lot of notes. It is insanity. So I want to just dive in and start hitting those points. And then I think for the next episode, the episode after that, we're going to start looking at some unanswered questions, some stuff that happens off camera that had to have happened for certain things to happen in the movie. It just happens all over the. I mean, it's important because we're made not to really ask questions about what's going on. We're made to ask the questions that the filmmaker wants to answer later. Yeah, we should ask those questions. We should wonder. We should try to figure it out. It's like a mystery, you know what I mean? But there's questions. Those are the questions in the future of the film. So maybe it'll be addressed, maybe it won't. But then there's these little tiny, weird contradictions that don't get addressed. Because why would they? It doesn't do anything for anybody. Who gives a shit? You're not even supposed to look. I've talked about this before, not here, just mostly on street corners, rambling to strangers as they walk by. But we're as a society, this is where it gets weird. It's not going to get racist. It just gets weird. You hate that when you know, or you watch somebody's stuff for a long time. You're like, oh, this person is really good at what they do, and then one day you're like, oh no, they're a horrible racist, and they always have been, or a horrible sexist, or a classist. I think that's a thing. A classist, trans, phobic, homophobic. There's something, just and you're like, damn it, darn it, dang it. Do you give up somebody then? Do you give up somebody? So anyway, it's a weird thing. It's hard to say. So this isn't a racist thing. This is a weirdness thing. I'm an odd person. I have very strange ideas about the world, and those are going to start to leak out. This isn't an explicit like conspiracy theory sort of sort of podcast, but it is going to pop up from time to time. And this is one of those times right now. So I feel like in the world we're having our point of view narrowed. And the way that we're having our point of view narrowed is by being surrounded by insipid, idiotic garbage. So the example I like to use is the potato chip bag. There is some important information on a potato chip bag, but it is on the back, and it is in black and white, and it is boring. It's hard to decipher. It's confusing, and also it is so fucking boring, especially if you just want some chips, something salty, you know what I mean? So, the front of the bag is bright, it's exciting, but the other part is it's dumb. It's totally stupid. If there's anything written on there, it's either a logo or it is some stupid catchphrase or whatever. It is really stupid, and it's bright, and it's exciting, it's interesting, or it's traditional, I don't know, whatever thing they're going to. Then you flip it over, and there's always words written on the back, and those words are also stupid and ridiculous. I wish I had a chip bag, but they'll be like, oh man, hey, it's the bold flavor, or it's the traditional flavor, or it's the this flavor. Hey, what are you doing? Are you doing this? You should have these. It's this dumb, insipid ad copy prattle that we know is stupid, and we know it's pointless. There's nobody who's turning over the bag, who's maybe like older than 10 years old, who's turning over the bag and saying, oh, this is a great argument. I'm so excited that they took the time to... No. It is dumb. It is dumb, and we know it is dumb, and we're meant to know it's dumb. And what this does is when we're walking through a potato chip aisle, which in this case is a metaphor for life right now, but when we're walking through a potato chip aisle, our point of view narrows. Because we know that there's nothing interesting or deep or important here. Even though it's screaming for attention, we know it's not any of that stuff. We know it's insipid, it's prattle, it is pointless. And so our point of view narrows. And that's a quick metaphor for life. That's what we're surrounded by. We're surrounded by stupidness that is stupid in the sense that we're supposed to know that it's stupid, and we're supposed to feel good for not being duped by it. And in that way, our point of view narrows, and we bring less and less information in, and we see less and less of what's going on around us. we see less and less evidence of albino lizard people walking among us, okay? So just try to pay attention to the stupid shit. Try to look at it. Read the potato chip bag and go, oh, well, this is violently stupid. This is stupid for a point. I see it. So look into it. Just don't become it. Speaking of being surrounded by completely pointless, irrelevant, idiotic garbage, let's get back to Face Off and the Face Off podcast with me, Derek Schoonover, the guy that's doing it, the guy that you're spending this time with. Thank you, by the way, for spending this time. It's interesting. I had somebody actually say that they listened to this, and I had mixed feelings. I had mixed feelings about it. I was like, I don't know if I like that. maybe I like it better if it was just for me. So, But it was mentioned that it was the video. I don't know. I'm just getting into video, so this video should be more interesting. Is there something cool back there? There should be something weird going on back there. Either like some weird geometrical thing, or space, or plants, or I don't know, something more interesting than a red wall. That if it gets boring, you can look at, which is riveting for the audio listeners. I know it. It's just, you're like, oh man, I'm missing out. Go to YouTube, check it out. Probably not Vimeo. I haven't figured that. Look, I am just trying to distract myself from Face Off. I'm trying to stay out of it. So let's power in. It's hot in here. Let's power in to this episode. Let's sift through this rubble. Episode number 3 of the Face Off podcast. I'm just going to go straight down the line. I'm going to hit this stuff. It's going to sound like just a flurry of ridiculousness, but this is what we have to do in order to get to the foundation, in order to get to the fundament of this movie. Oh, excuse me, I've got neck issues. All right, the ridiculousness of this astounds me. It really does. So, it astounds me and it attracts me. I'm attracted to bizarre, weird craziness. So that's what this is. So stick with it. And if you haven't watched Face Off, don't bother. Just imagine. Okay, if you haven't watched it and you're feeling like you're not picking up what I'm putting down here, definitely go watch it. Give it a shot. If you listen to 4 or 5 episodes and then you go watch this movie, you're gonna be like, God damn, okay, here we go. Actually, if you listen to the first episode and go watch it, you'll be like, oh shit, there's something else here. Let's keep digging. Let's keep digging. Whoo, baby. This time I went through it the whole way in one sitting. For the most part, I didn't pay a lot of attention at the end. It gets bad at the end. All right, we all know this. We all know it's a horrible movie. Objectively, it's bad. It's bad. I will argue anybody who says different. I will argue anybody who comes at me with the argument that it is at least fundamentally, technically sound. Now, the most that you can say is it was absolutely a movie that was made by people. They did it, and so. That's it. That's the highest level of argument that I'll accept for Face Off. Other than that, nah, man. Nah, dude. Nah, it's bad, bro. I'm not into it. So I'm going to go straight down the line. And it's going to be confusing. But I want to get into, like I said, to get through the dust, get through the rubble, sweep up the particulates, and get into the actual big the boulders, the carved rock that's underneath that doesn't make any sense. How did this get here? This is ancient. They shouldn't have been able to cut rocks like this. You know, they don't, oh, there's water. There wasn't supposed to be water here. These rocks were eroded by water. Where'd the water come from? You know, that sort of thing. It's below all the sand and all the fucking, I don't know, particle board. Whatever happens when you blow up a trailer out in the woods of Washington State with 17 sticks of dynamite, and it just spreads garbage for hundreds of feet in every direction. There's like half a toilet seat somehow survived, and there's this like a shard of a propane tank, and there's part of a refrigerator window glass, like a piece of glass stuck in a tree. There's a bumper. There's a bumper. There's just that's just a barbecue out front. Just got, it's like, it looks weird, like it just got just crushed from one side, and it's like all bent up, and did some little kid's bicycle up in a tree and shit. That's the kind. So that's the stuff we're trying to pick up. We're trying to pick it up right now. Move it around. Get rid of it. Be done with it. There's just so much of it. There's so much of it. Oh God. All right. If you hear shit in the background, I apologize. Actually, I don't. I'm going to take that back. I don't apologize at all. It's something you're going to have to get used to if you're going to stick around here. I got two dogs. I got a pug and an Italian greyhound. And the pug is this galactic super intelligence. Is if you've ever met a pug, I'm sure you know. They're a galactic, crazy, like super intelligence that have to do, kind of work with. Got to work with them. And there's the greyhound, who is a complete fucking moron. 100%. There's nothing there. He's exactly the opposite. He has no brain whatsoever. All he knows how to do is eat and run, sleep, and piss on his own feet. Check that. He doesn't even know how to eat. All right? If he stops eating and misses too many meals, he forgets what food is. He is a moron. But it's Petunia is the pug. Petunia is the pug. Morty is the greyhound. I'm Derek. Angela is co-host on Don't Be Fun. We're a crew, and then Alex and Audrey across the way there. But the four of us, we're a daily crew. These are road dogs. They're with us, so you're gonna hear some snorts. You're gonna hear some chewing, some barking. It is gross. I know it's gross, but it's just what's going on. It's just what's going on. Maybe this is a self-destructive thing. I don't know. But it's happening. Like, she is just chewing the shit out of a bone right now, and I can hear it, and it is driving me. She's getting louder. I know she hears me talking about it. So, all right. All of this is an avoidance. We're almost 20 minutes in. I'm avoiding this rubble pile. You know how it works? You're like, God damn, this is a mess. I gotta clean it up. All right, here we go. We're gonna start with dialects. There's some weird dialects in this movie, and they seem totally random and pointless. Like I don't know. Like it's set in L.A., so I don't know why all these people. I mean, they got weird stuff. So Tito is a black dude who I don't think talks. He does talk a little bit weird. His name is Tito, though. That's a little odd, isn't it? I think Michael Jackson had a brother named Tito. Is that factual? I think it is. Okay, there's another guy, Burke Hicks, has a real deep Southern accent. It's ridiculous. The shock therapy doctor has a weird accent. Pollux Troy has an odd accent. Castor Troy, obviously. Nick Cage has a strange accent. He's got this sort of Southern Nick Cage thing going on, Let's see. There's Dietrich, also strange, kind of gangsterish sort of accent. Man, he is a bad dude too. That's Castor Troy's buddy. His bald, white buddy, who Castor knocked up his sister, um, and then him and his sister at the end, who's played by Gina Gershon. I don't know what her name is in the movie. I forgot. But who's played by Gina Gershon. In their final goodbye, their final kiss, they kiss. It's not a Luke Skywalker Leia sort of thing. It's like a we're into this sort of thing. It's a weird choice, but I don't know. Maybe it works. It doesn't. I don't know. It's awful. So it's weird. Anyway, all those guys got weird dialects, and I don't know why. They're just sort of randomly sprinkled in there. You know, it's a bizarre thing. Castor kind of gets sucked into the family drama as he is playing Sean Archer. I can just hear this dog fucking panting in the background. This is driving me crazy. Alright. I don't want to talk. It doesn't even matter. We got Erewhon Prison. We went over that. Other movies that I could have chosen from the era. There is some good movies from that time. I mean, I think, I don't know. It's hot in here. This is petering out. Let's see here. John Travolta is an odd person. You look at Nicolas Cage and he is an interesting looking person. In this movie especially, because he is super thin and pretty young. But he looks so weird. So strange. And the only person I can think of that looks weirder than him is John Travolta. Both of these guys look like they're some sort of weird alien that just borrowed a face and they're trying to get used to it. Do you remember Men in Black, the first one, with the Ager alien? He stole somebody's skin and was walking around trying to get used to it, but he was a big-ass bug, so it was really weird for him. That's what it reminds me of. Like, they are confused as to what facial features are and what they should be doing. They could, like, there's this scene where John Travolta is having a bad day, and it looks like he has never had a bad day. He doesn't understand. Like he's trying. Like maybe he had a tough day when he was 13, and that's what he's drawing on. You know, it's a really strange thing because I feel like I've seen him in other movies where he did good. I could be wrong though. It could be wrong. Like I can't think of any off the top of my head. Besides Pulp Fiction, but we talked about Pulp Fiction before. He just played a junkie, played a fucking asshole junkie. So he's stoned the whole entire movie and was just a dick to everybody. That's not that hard. It's really not that nuanced. It was cool. He did it cool, like cool. I guess that's the hard part, is to play it cool. Come on, Spud. Go lay down over there somewhere. I'm just going to lay here and snore. I know it. He played it cool. That was what he did different. And in this movie, he's not cool. He's the opposite. I mean, even when he's playing as Castor Troy, it's not cool. It's like he's really... I don't know. Maybe the Castor Troy is just a really bad character. He's just this totally unhinged, weird psycho who's also a goofball. Does that make sense? Like a goofball. I'm just being quiet so you can hear all the dog noises. This is awful. I fucking hate it in podcasts, so there's all these awful noises, but I don't know. That's my burden to bear. I can't. Your ear burden. It's your ear burden to bear. So yeah, he looks like a serial killer, like a sociopath a lot of the times. And I don't know if that's a choice for the film. I don't think it is. I think maybe he's a sociopath serial killer in real life. You heard it here first. John Travolta and Nick Cage, tag team serial killers in real life. That's what's going to happen. And another serial killer thing is these are just, again, little weird things that I noticed, and hopefully they'll come back at some point to be important. But when they go into surgery, they are stripped down, they have towels over their dongs, and they are hairy as fuck. Their arms and chest are super hairy, and then their stomachs are not. It's like they're wearing a weird shirt, a weird hair shirt. But it's not weird because of that. I mean, it is weird, but it's weird because they both got that. Why do they both have that? Why do they I mean, maybe no, there's no reason for it. There is no reason for it. It's a weird thing to do. If you shave your stomach hair and and, and leave your furry sleeves, your furry arm sleeves, and your furry chest covering on, you're a weirdo. You're a psycho. Maybe that was the point of the point. It was like one of those things where the bad guy and the good guy are like, oh, we're not that different, you and me. That trope there, and they were just trying to put that in there subtly. Look at these guys. They're not that different. They both shave their stomach and leave their chest, fur, and furry arm sleeves on. What could be the point? I never understood shaving body hair, much less that. I mean, I realize how stupid that is. I'm beardless and hairless, so clearly I do understand shaving body hair. I don't count my head as part of my body. I guess it's its own separate entity, its own thing, just a balloon. Like I've actually heard that before. Like if you treat your head like it is a balloon, and your body, so it's just tied to your body, and so as you walk with your shoulders back, your head just sort of floats along behind. You know, is that right? I don't know if that's right. I think most people, it feels like you're pulling your body along with your head, as opposed to pulling your head along with your body. I think that's a Rolfing thing. I could be wrong. That should be the catchphrase for this show. Is I could be wrong. Most likely, I am wrong. So I think of my head as a meat balloon that's just following around my body, that's animated by some spirit of electricity that pushes me along to do things. This is alright. The timeline of this film is odd. All the timelines of this film are odd. So I've mentioned before that this, and I applaud this, I like this idea actually, is that this movie, besides the merry-go-round of madness at the beginning, this movie picks up like it's the end of a different movie. So the first 20 minutes of this movie are like the last 20 minutes of some other movie, where you're like, oh boy, this shit's about to hit the fan. The bad guy and the good guy are going to get into a fight at an airport, and a plane's going to blow up, and somebody's going to get murdered with a plane turbine, or possibly suicided. I'm not sure how that worked. He didn't seem suicidal, but I'm pretty sure Sean Archer hits the button. One of them hits the button. It is not really specific. It's not really clear to turn the anyway. The timelines are weird. So I like that. I like that it starts off like the end of another movie. I think movies generally start about 45 minutes too early. So if they started in the last, hour of the movie, then you could get to the cool stuff that happens after the movie. You know what I mean? Like the weird psychological trauma that is incurred by just fucking being haunted, by whatever. Like pick a movie, if Indiana Jones. I don't know. That's a bad example because that guy's untouchable. What an odd thing. Indiana Jones is untouchable. He was unfazable. He was just like, yeah, I do this shit. It just doesn't matter. Can you imagine like a movie where it's just Indiana Jones talking to his therapist about the shit that he has seen, where he's like, oh, I've killed so many fucking Nazis. It is ridiculous how many people I have murdered. I know they're Nazis, but goddamn. And the things that I have seen, you would not believe it. I wake up at night screaming because I don't even know if I should believe it. I don't know if it's real. The places I've been, sometimes I can't be sure that I've actually been there. The people that have trusted me and I've let down. The horrible things I've done. The horrible things I've done. I don't know. It's set in a different time. People I don't think talk like that. But that would be that would be an interesting movie. Just Indiana Jones talking about, or what's it? Martin Riggs, is that his name, from Lethal Weapon? The Braveheart guy. If he actually did go to therapy. The Braveheart guy, Mel Gibson, if he did go to therapy and that was the movie, was him talking about all the shit that happened in Lethal Weapon, but not actually showing it. It's like this weird Tony Soprano thing where he's in the thing and he's I like that idea. We should get that going. So the timelines are weird. So this movie, I think, takes place over a week. It feels like years. Years is what it feels like. Years. I don't know. It's just so quick. In the prison, Sean Archer as Castor Troy is like, how do I get out of here? And the guy's like, you can't. He's like, how do I get the boots off? And he's like this. And then the plan goes into effect. And then 20 minutes later, in movie time, maybe like 5 minutes in actual movie time, he's out. He's escaped. He did it. He got out of the place you can't get out. Just like that. Because he's fucking smart, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The other part is weird is at the beginning of the movie, Castor Troy sets a bomb, and it's got a timer on it, which is a movie trope. If you want to write a screenplay, put a timer in it. Somebody will buy it. I don't know why. People love fucking timers. Countdowns. Countdowns aren't... so like a countdown to like a launch, what do you call it? A rocket launch into space, a space shuttle launching, a countdown to do it. That's a movie invention. It's not a real thing. They didn't used to do that. That was the thing that they did in the movies. I don't even know if they do it in real life, but it doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense if you don't think about it at all. So you're like, okay, we spent years working on this rocket. We spent years training the crew. We spent years training the people here. There's hundreds and hundreds of people, millions and billions of dollars invested in this thing. It is just calculated down to the nearest ounce. The quarter of an ounce. I mean, it is so calculated. Everything is so calculated. And they're like, now let's count down from 10 before I push this button. That doesn't make any fucking sense at all. It's like, okay, is everybody ready? Because 10 seconds from now, I'm going to push this button. It's so stupid. 1, 2... No, wait, you're going backwards. We don't want to go forwards. I don't want to stop at 10. We got to start at 10. 10, 9... Are you still ready? Like, was that for one of these astronauts to be like, wait! I was ready up until 5, and now I've lost my nerve. I don't think it's going to work. I need to stop. This countdown is so stupid. The reason it works for a bomb is because you got to get away from the bomb. You got to get away from the bomb. You don't want to just push the button and explode. Unless you do. In that case, you don't worry about... I don't know. I got off on a tangent. Anyway, the bomb in this movie has a countdown of like 263 hours. It's so stupid. It's like 18 days. They got like it could have been a calendar instead of a clock. It's so dumb. What the fuck, man? That is so ridiculous. So that just makes... Okay, so... That's like it's like 10 days or something. So that does make it longer than a week, because the bomb gets diffused and then it goes on. So it's almost a month, I would say, in this timeline. Yeah, I guess so. Seems about right. So, but they only have their faces switched for about a week. Other stuff is happening though. The world doesn't stop just when you switch faces with your arch enemy. It doesn't stop just for you. The world keeps going. Shit keeps happening. I just admit, okay, there's a guy that we talked about, Tito. Tito gets killed. Spoiler alert. That's how you do it. You say spoiler alert after you spoil it. Tito gets killed. He gets lit on fire by Castor Troy. After Castor takes Sean Archer's face, he destroys all the evidence by lighting the lab and all the people involved on fire, and Tito was involved. I just imagine Tito that morning, because this is like several days after they switched faces, and he's one of the guys that talked Sean Archer into it. He's like, you gotta do it, all right, and then he's one of the last people that talks to Sean before he goes into Erewhon prison. And he's like, buddy, this is insane, but you're gonna do good, pal. You're gonna do real good. And then he says goodbye to his friend, his partner, his compadre, his co-worker. They're buddies, they're partners, they're pals. He says goodbye to him, sends him off on this crazy mission, and then he's like, he's got the knowledge that there's a bomb ticking somewhere in LA, some kind of crate. Oh God, it's gonna melt everybody's guts out. They're gonna be fucking shooting vomit out of their assholes, and it's gonna kill everybody I love. But it's in there, and Sean's gonna probably fix it and everything. And but it's gonna be a few days, so I'm gonna go get yogurt and cheese and toilet paper from the store, and go home and watch Seinfeld and just hang out. And he's like, there's a lot on my shoulders right now, but this Seinfeld and yogurt is real good. And then that night he gets woken up and burned to death. So stupid. What an asshole. Oh man, you should definitely be able to choose what you do before you die. There should be a one-day warning. It's like, you are going to die tomorrow at this time, so get something cool in. Just try on some leather pants. Really try to work this thing out. That guy's like, I have all the time in the world. I'm gonna buy a 16 pack of yogurt and a big brick of cheese this time, because I use it. All right, I use a lot of cheese. And this Seinfeld is tight. This is a new episode, man. It is tight. The guy's a genius. And then burned to death. You're done. Fucking Tito. All right, what were we talking about? Oh, timelines. Okay. I feel like I skipped over something. Timeline of the films, bomb, the countdown. Yeah, no, that's about it. This is a countdown. It's such an odd thing. It's just there to stress you out. It's to stress you out as a person. It's one of those weird deals that, like, something that is there ostensibly for one reason, and it turns out that it's there for the opposite reason. So it's like, ooh, I think a countdown's cool, it's entertaining. Yeah. It's not. It's there to stress you out. It's there to release a stress chemical to where you're like, oh, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? Because they always go to nobody's like, oh, good, we have 35 minutes left. I'm glad you clipped that wire. They're like, oh, Jesus, the wire cutter's broke at 5 seconds. What's he going to do? And he bites into it or something, It's never not to stress you out. It's never like, oh, I feel better now. No, you feel better when the wire gets cut. But up until that, the whole time, it's like, oh, God, I'm getting an ulcer. But it's an entertaining ulcer. So I'm good with that. Any Silicon Valley fans in the house will spot Gavin Belson, a young Gavin Bell. I should have looked up the actor's name, but I didn't. I just go with. I don't give a fuck what their name is. He's good. He's good though. I like him in Silicon Valley. He's fucking funny, man. Such a weird. He pulls it off. He pulls off the weird billionaire really well. But look for a young Gavin Belson getting his ear blown off. That's right, getting his ear blown off as an entree into the dark arts of face removal. Because the same dude who fixes his ear uses the same technology to switch faces of Sean and Castor. And he gets his ear blown off. He has a couple choice lines here and there. Oh, Sean's not going to like this at all. No, wait, Archer. He doesn't call him Sean. Archer's not going to like this at all. God damn, Margaret Cho. Oh, Jesus. It's not a good role. Not a good role. And she did a terrible job at it. So, objectively bad. Really objectively bad. So, look for Gavin Belson also getting shot in the head by Castor Troy as Sean Archer, mourning his brother's death from, I believe, being shot and dropped off of a building. Both of those things. Mourning his brother's death, crying, and Gavin Belson walks up and says, "What is the problem? He was an asshole criminal, right? Shot right in the head. No fanfare. Boom! Right in the melon. Right between the eyes and above. It was right there in that spot. Boom! With the... It's got to be a weird thing. Hey, pretend to be shot in the head. But is this how it happens? Is this how it happens? I've never seen anybody actually shot in the head. I assume it would be a lot messier than what we're shown. It's usually just kind of a thunk, and you're done. Maybe a splatter on the back. I don't know. I assume there's some serious... It's gross, man. There's some interesting... there's drugs. I keep saying interesting. I think it is interesting, sort of. But you might disagree, and I would not hold that against you. But I need a new word besides interesting. There's a lot of drugs in this movie, and I don't think they're real drugs. There's one that they dissolve in water, like an Alka-Seltzer, and they drink it, and they get it. It looks like they get a yuck face, like a. I don't take ecstasy these days, but back in the day when you take an ecstasy pill, it'd be nasty. You get the gross face. That was the guy Yuck Mouth was a rap, and then and Mac Dre, it was his whole thing. He always had that look on his face, and all his promo pictures, he was always fucked up. They called it Fizz. It's a Fizz face. Oh man, I love Mac Dre. That guy was great. He is dead. All right, that was your hip hop moment here on the Face Off podcast. There's a lot of drugs. I think Vivex. There's painkillers. There's a shot. Somebody gets a shot. Somebody gets a blue. He gets a shot when he freaks out. When Archer freaks out when he gets the new face, flips out. And they just give him a shot. Like, here, give him some of this. What is it? Doesn't matter. It's in the thing. And he relaxes, but he stays lucid. He relaxes, stays lucid. So it's good. Something good. Isn't that crazy that they can just shoot you up? If you're freaking out, they can just shoot you up with something and be like, now you got to deal with that. Might make you feel better for a little while, but it comes down to bitch. So it'd be fucked up if somebody just shot you up with heroin and you're like, oh, now this. Shit, I've heard bad things. Good things also, but bad things. So there's a lot of weird drugs, but I don't think they're any real drugs. I think they're just all fake drugs. There's some blue pills, some anonymous blue pills. That might have been what that drink thing was. They might have busted open those blue pills into some water and drank it. So I don't know. I found a black pill one time outside of a Persian, I think it's Persian, a Persian dance club. It was like a hookah / nightclub spot with hummus and things like that. And there's I have no idea what I'm talking about. There was Lamborghinis outside. I used to work right next to it in a cheesesteak shop. This is so stupid. There was a big black pill, and I was like, I bet that's drugs, but I didn't take it because I don't eat pills off the ground usually. I would have if it had markings. It didn't have any markings. If I could have looked it up on the internet and saw what it was big though. It was probably a suppository. I should. That's what I should do when I find pills on the ground: is stick them up my ass. That's my new modus operandi. All right, Castor is better at everything than Sean Archer. Better at everything. What kind of a message is this to people? The message is that if you're free, you're free. It's different. If you're not free, you're not free. This is two separate things. So it's like if you're, what was the thing? If you're trying to be free, it means you're not free. That's like saying I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't have an analogy. All right. If you're trying to be free, you're not free. That's what the difference between Castor Troy and Sean Archer. Sean Archer is shackled by everything: his job, his wife, his love, his son, his dead son, his revenge, his need for revenge. Everything is shackling him. And so while he is good, and ultimately he ends up being better. I mean, he captures Castor, he kills Castor, he takes his fucking face while he's in a coma, he kills his brother. I mean, he does win technically, but he's not as good somehow at all this stuff. That's an odd thing. I've heard that before in sports terms, where somebody, and this happens all the time in my favorite sport, the only sport that actually matters, professional wrestling. That's right. I told you some shit was going to come out. So in professional wrestling, a lot of the times the person who looks like they should win doesn't. And the person who doesn't look like they should win at all does. And that's how it happens. That's how it works. So the person who's better loses. And that's what it feels like with Sean Archer and Castor Troy, is that Castor Troy is better at everything, but he loses. Does that make sense? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So in the prison, while he's in the prison, one of Sean Archer's failings or one of his skills is that he becomes loyal to people very fast. So the person who he is escaping with, Dubov, I think is his name, who is mentally ill, deficient, I don't know, dumb, something. He fights him right when they get in there. They fight, but then when they go to escape, they're suddenly tight. Like, it hurts him when Dubov dies. It hurts him. He's sad. And they kill a lot of cops, man. They kill a bunch of cops. It's like, fuck, man. You're a cop. What are you doing? Stop killing all these people. He does at one point, after they kill a bunch of cops, at one point he's like, don't. Let's not kill any more. Let these guys go for some reason. And they just leave. But he kills so many of them on the way out. And it's like, it's not obvious that they died, but they totally died. In the context of like reality, if you fall off of a fucking of a catwalk that's like 20 feet in the air, and you fall onto a fucking metal table corner with your spine, you're dead. You're dead. That's all there is to it. All right. So yeah, he has some loyalty. There's fireworks all over this movie. I don't know what that is. So any explosion that happens, it's fireworks. It's literally fireworks. There's the whistling. There's the shoot. It everywhere, all over the place. I think we already went over this too. I'm gonna just try to bust through a bunch of these. There's a speedboat chase that is awful. This movie is filled with boring action. There's action happening on the screen, and it is so boring. You're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be adrenalized and excited. Motherfucking Tom Cruise climbing around on the outside of the Burj Khalifa. That's fucking crazy. I almost shit my pants watching that movie, man. Holy Christ. He was actually up there doing it. What a fucking nut. I mean, that's way later on. There is some weird shit in this one, or if you're like one of those stuntman watchers, where you're watching for the stuntman, and be like, damn, dude, that's brutal. There's a couple of things where it's like, oh fuck, but it's not exciting. It's just like, I hope that guy's not dead, like for real. There's a part with a speedboat crash. I mean, there's a part where a dude's hanging off the side of a speedboat, just boom, 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 bouncing through the water. That shit is fucking brutal, man. If you don't think so, Jesus, go open a car door while you're driving 10 miles an hour and see how nervous that makes you. Try fucking hanging off a speedboat going 40 miles an hour. That's fucking insane. Stuntmen are crazy, super crazy. And in this movie, there is some interesting stunts. There is some really shitty ones too. I don't know. I think the speedboat thing at the end is probably the craziest ones. But I don't know. To look at something exciting compared to this, it's boring action. It's boring action. So in this movie, Castor Troy's brother dies towards the middle of the movie, and it's weird because this is part of the hierarchy of death in movies, motivational death. So I think for Castor, they sort of had to flip it. Brothers, pretty good, but usually they have to be, I don't know, usually have to be younger or something. I guess this guy was younger, but so they had to motivate him. They had to knock him out of his comfort zone. So they had to kill somebody close to him. They killed everybody close to him, but the only one that mattered was his brother. So that's somewhere on the hierarchy of motivational deaths for a leading man. And this just happened to be a villainous leading man, sharing the bill or whatever. Let's see here. And there's a part where Nicolas Cage, as Sean Archer, explains the plot of the movie to his wife, to Eve, because he needs to make her understand what's going on. And he has the correct... It's a pitch perfect emotional reaction to everything that he is actually saying in this movie, where he goes, so we switched faces. Fuck, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. He fucking he flips out. It's good. That's actually a mini movie. If you don't want to watch Face Off, just watch the scene where Sean Archer, with Castor Troy's face, so Nicolas Cage, confronts Eve and explains the plot of the movie. I don't know. You can probably look it up on YouTube, but that's the whole movie. It's this perfect emotional representation of what it feels like to watch this fucking shithole. Okay, so there's a weird part. And see, I say weird and interesting way too much. There's a disturbing part about this movie. It is when when Eve discovers the truth, but proves it to herself with the blood test. So she proves that the man she thinks is her husband is actually Castor Troy, and the man she thinks is Castor Troy is actually her husband. They switch faces. She gets it. And she says to Nicolas Cage, who is playing Sean Archer at this point, she says, I've been living with this man as man and wife for a week now. And Nicolas Cage has a weird reaction. But anyway, the implications of that are strange. See, I didn't say weird or interesting. They are actually interesting. They're disturbing is what I would say. The implications of that sentence are disturbing. The implications are, okay, so it's been said that they aren't intimate as husband and wife because Sean Archer's too much of a workaholic. He can't get it done or whatever. They're not intimate. There's a wall between them. So when she says that we've been living together as man and wife for a week, he should just assume nothing's been going on. You've been disappointed, just like you've been disappointed for the last however long. Nothing's going on. But we all know what that means. That means they have been banging like bunnies for a week. He's been putting the screws to her, and she's been really working it, and enjoying that time. They've been having good loving. And so that's all fine and good to deal with. But Eve, come on. They didn't switch everything. They didn't switch dicks is what I'm saying. They didn't switch dicks. Castor Troy's got to do. There's no point where they were like, this is going to work out because you guys have the same dick and balls. The same dick and balls, so don't worry about it. We're good. It's going to be fine. They didn't say we're going to remove your dick and put it on his dick and put his dick where your dick is. They just have their dicks. They're all dicks. Dicks are way different. I would be able to tell the difference between Nicolas Cage and Sean, and I'm getting confused. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta's dick after seeing it one time, much less touching it and working it over and doing all that good stuff to it. I would be able to tell the difference, much less being married for 400 years and having 2 kids and whatever. Come on, Eve. Come on, Eve. To the moment that dick came out, you should have been like, there is something wrong. There is something very wrong. I don't know what it is, but there has to be something to explain this dick discrepancy here. You should have. You're a doctor, for Christ's sake, and you're a super cop detective's wife. You should have been detecting some physical difference happening. That wasn't this. This is it's important. It's important. It's sloppy, Eve. It's real sloppy. You should. This is a tier. You're part of a team. You should know when your husband's face has been stolen by the crazy psycho that killed your son, and not bang him for a week. It's weird. It's weird even when your husband isn't into banging, and then he shows up and he's like, "Let's get to banging." I mean, it kind of makes sense because he ostensibly killed Castor Troy, the guy who murdered his son. I don't think that should be a thing that turns you on. I don't think it should. I think that if your son gets killed by somebody and you kill that guy and that turns you on, you got a problem. You got an issue. You know what I mean? I think that after you kill the guy that killed your son, you should talk about it a lot to somebody. You should feel not great. You should not, and you should not try to replace that son with the son of the guy who killed your son. That's not going to help. It's not going to help. It doesn't work that way. It's not interchangeable. You can't just buy a new puppy when your other puppy gets run over by a dump truck. Your dog that's 8 years old, you've been through some shit. You can't just replace it with a new puppy. All right? It doesn't work that way. Jesus. Oh, God. Maybe, no. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Gina. Oh yeah, the brother sister kiss. That's a weird thing. So there's a Mexican standoff in this movie that has 5 people, and one of them is unarmed. That's all I wrote. It seems like a lot of people in a Mexican standoff. Um, and I don't think when they started shooting, not one of them just got shot right away. Somebody got hit by a chair. I think that was Eve that was hitting him with a chair. Come on, Eve. You're weird all over, girl. Shit. There's a lot of people in that Mexican stand. That's too many. It's supposed to be 3 people, right? If you add 2, it starts to get quantum. That starts to become a big math problem. Like, who's in the, okay? So there's 5. Okay, so there's 5 people in this thing. So in some of there's 6 total, I think. 1 unarmed, 5 with guns. All right, and they're all, and then there's 2 people that are them the others. They are them others. They are the there's Sean Archer and Castor Troy with the wrong face. So there's people who are confused at who they're pointing guns at. There's a lot of levels in there. I'm trying. It's like a math problem. Right there, we are almost done. We are almost done with this. Yeah, we're good. We're almost done. I applaud the attempt at the odd structure. We already talked about that. Who hit the button? We talked about that. Oh, okay. So yeah, let's go. Let's get out of here. We got one more topic, and that is well, let me make sure. Oh no, there's 2. There's 2. Well, okay, there's 3. Let's take a few more minutes. What do you say? You still here? Let's do this. We don't got shit all to do. There's a part where in the prison, Sean Archer hacks the computer system of the prison. And when he does, what it says is that he overloads the system with too much electricity. And when he does that, everything starts to explode. That was awesome 90s computer stuff. I love the idea that from a keyboard you can overload the system and everything will just explode. It's like, yeah, we put that protocol in there. That's much like Hackers, the movie Hackers, where they had to hack the Gibson. Remember that movie Hackers, where they had to hack the Gibson? That's what this reminded me of. He just starts putting in, he just how did you learn computers, Sean Archer, you stuffy old sumbitch? But he did, and he got out there, so I like that. I like that 90s computer jargon. I think it's cool. I think it's good. Now, there's 2 other things I want to talk about. Is the tonal changes of this movie. There's tonal changes throughout. So it goes from action movie to real saccharine, like family drama sort of thing. Saccharine might be the wrong word. No, it does. It gets saccharine at times. That means like overly sweet. Like, you know, and like, oh, I love you, and it's all that kind of stuff. To this like family drama, kind of Lifetime movie sort of stuff. And then like horror movie vibes, you know. There's a horror movie thing. There's this weird thing where you can switch it to. I liked the first time that I saw that really happen successfully and really, really well was in the second Spider-Man movie. All my movie references are going to be dated as fuck because I don't really watch a lot of movies these days. I watch Face Off once a week, and then it's mostly TV shows. The TV shows are better than movies these days, so most of my references are dated because I did watch movies heavily back in the day. And so Spider-Man 2, arguably the best of the Spider-Man series. Who the fuck gives a fuck? But there's a scene where Dr. Octopus's arms, they come to life. He's in like a hospital room. He starts grabbing saws and scalpels and stuff with all his arms, just cutting people up. And it's like instantly that movie changes from like a sort of actiony, lighthearted actiony movie to a fucking horror movie for like maybe 30 seconds, probably less, maybe like 25 seconds, you know. And it was cool because I was watching those movies because I was a huge Sam Raimi fan, because of the Evil Dead, Army of Darkness series, and yeah, I was a big fan of his, and so I was following him into that Spider-Man thing, and that was really interesting to see because it was like, oh, these action movies, whatever, and then he was like, and it was kind of like at that, it was almost like he could sense it in me, like we were connected. We were mind connected, and Sam Raimi was like, "Well, I don't want to disappoint Derek, so let's swap this over to some nasty horror movie shit for like 30 seconds, just so he knows I still got it." And then he did, and it was like, "Fuck, that was effective. That was weird." It was like, boom, all of a sudden, just Jesus, it got awful all of a sudden and shit. It was good. I like that. So they do that here too. Speaking of Sam Raimi, he did another movie called Drag Me to Hell, which was a deep metaphor movie. We were talking about deep metaphor movies last time, I think. And Drag Me to Hell was a deep metaphor movie for it was like a demon movie, you know, so exorcism, not an exorcism, just like a haunting movie, kind of like Paranormal Activity, or that other one, Insidious. You know, you're haunted by something. I think it was a gypsy curse, but the movie was a deep metaphor for anorexia, or something like it, some sort of food disorder, eating disorder, and that was on purpose. That was what it was made for. And it's interesting. It's interesting because when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You don't see it though until you do. And so that's what I'm looking for in this movie, and Face Off is some sort of deep metaphor, but it's not there. It's just a piece of garbage. It's a piece of trash. That's what it is. So one last thing that I want to talk about. It doesn't really have much to do with this movie, I don't think. But I think it's an interesting thing that you want to think about. Shows up sometimes. I guess it kind of shows up in this movie a little bit, but not really, because there isn't any real rehabilitation. There's they sort of have to, I don't know. So anyway, there's this thing that happens in movies where a bad guy becomes a good guy, and that happens in real life too, where an enemy becomes a friend, or somebody who a friend becomes an enemy, and then they become a friend again. And that can happen like with drug addiction a lot. So like somebody gets addicted to methamphetamine or something, and they become really weird, and they fuck you over. They fuck you over, and they fuck you over, and they fuck you over, and then they get clean. Or somebody's an alcoholic, and they get clean. And then there's a thing that happens there, and that's the tension of rehabilitation, is what I like to call it. You can use that if you want, but it's that feeling that any minute they could go back. So the bad guy who became the good guy can go back to being the bad guy again at any second. So are you going to give him your hand when you're hanging off of the cliff? It's scary. It's scary. So are you going to let their, a recovering alcoholic cousin borrow your car? You know what I mean? There's these tensions, and that's an important thing to recognize that it's there and to acknowledge it, because that's what makes it so interesting in movies, is it's rarely ever acknowledged. It's never like, you asshole, you were just a fucking asshole, what am I going to trust you for? You know what I mean? But it is there, and it is it's good. It's really good. It's important. It's like a stretch. It's like a muscle stretch. You got to have it, because we can't we can't go into the future feeling like there's people out there who can't change. And I think Face Off is a good example of that, because they took the faces, they pulled them off of the heads, and they put them on different heads. So they changed. And then they took them back off, and I'm just rambling now. I don't know what I'm even talking about. It's so hot in this room right now. I'm fully delirious at this point. So don't let that change your. Don't let that change. If you found something interesting here, or strange or weird, don't let that change it, that I've been going off the rails for the last 10 minutes, or hour and 10 minutes, however you want to look at it. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, thanks for showing up. Check out Don't Be Fun over there too. It's good. And whatever else, stand up stuff, I guess. I don't know. Do stuff. Go look at stuff. Go look at interesting things with interesting people, and then break those things, because we have too many interesting things taking up space. That's the point of an interesting thing. It's supposed to get broken, so you don't have to have it sitting around anymore. You're like, I remember that interesting thing we had. Yeah, it's broken now. All right, cool. Let's put something else interesting there. That's the beauty of art. Is it's supposed to be fragile. It's supposed to get broken, washed away, and replaced by better stuff, or less better. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Hey, I'm trying right now to spontaneously come up with a catchphrase. You guys have a great life.